eternal, always becoming, never ending, always being, always filling. As we allow this filling, healing presence that just passes through our entire being, entering this breath through all the energy centers that highlight the channel of life. For this life, as the breath passes through, is life. It is life itself, revealing itself, lighting up itself as it goes through that channel called you. Feel that breath just going through you, just circling around your heart area. You can feel that when you take your hand and just put it up there on your chest. You can feel it because it's heat. This is the fire, the heat. You feel that. It heals. All you do is open your channel to the presence of this breath, this healing breath. You feel it burning strongly in your area around your heart. Now you just allow it to drop down and up and around throughout your entire being, finding the little tendrils of the nerve endings, lighting it up, all those areas in the body that has all those memories of the life that you have lived. It's all there in this breath, just passing through as you allow. And just take a moment now and just breathe deeply. Allow yourself to be deeply, deeply inside where the truth, like a golden pond, reflects who you are. Go deep. Allow the wafting sounds to gently bathe you in love and light. Go deeper. Allow yourself to go deeper. Allow the power of now just to go right through you and be you. You are grounded. You are now. as we get ready to come back into who we are, we gently open the eyes and take in, just like we're breathing. Breathe in with your eyes this light. Something may feel like it has changed. Welcome the change, for it is you breathing in, receiving, breathing out, giving. And feeling the presence of the reflection as you do. And as you come into the room where you are, just keep this in your breath of life. Know that it is always there. Much love to you. Namaste. The service will begin shortly. Please join us. Thank you.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, and 3. The north wind doth blow. We soon shall have snow. And what will poor Robin do Well, God morning, Ahiah. Welcome to live streaming and live service at the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful downtown Pasadena, California, USA. We are right here in the heart of the theater district, and our hearts are resonating with love as we have not only live streaming audience, but a live audience right here in the very room in which we sit, indeed. So we welcome you all to the first service of February the 6th, 2022. It's a time that has never come before, and we welcome you for helping to bring it in. I am Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, your assistant minister, guide on the side, honored to facilitate the service this morning and introduce to you all of the folks that make it happen. Also want to acknowledge that today is day 8 of the 25th annual Season for Nonviolence. And I've got some information for you in just a moment, a theme, a quote, and a practice that you can implement to honor the lives of the two great peacemakers that we know as Mohandas Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but, a few more, including the one that occupies the seat in which you sit. Yes, and the most important one. That's right. So I'll share a little bit more with you on that in a moment, but first want to acknowledge the Sunday band. We've got Chris Glick tickling the keyboards. Got a sense of his consciousness during the meditation. Thank you, Chris. Brian Menifee on percussions. Leon Johnson is on the bass, and he is in the house as well. Let's give them love. Yes, and our musical inspiration today, the incomparable, the one and only, beloved Tina Meeks is in the house. Let's give Tina some love. Yes, yes, yes. So we know that the service is about love today. And also, you can hear my voice because of the magic of modern technology and the fact that we have the magnificent Gloria in the sound booth working the sound. Thank you, Gloria. That's right. Harris is our technical director. He's back there switching cameras, and we appreciate him. And also for those who work tirelessly behind the scenes, our beloved practitioners holding us in an atmosphere of prayer. For Brother Troy, hooking the breakfast up in the morning. That's just a little secret. If you come on Sundays, there's a little breakfast snack back there in the fellowship hall. So yes, we are just in love this morning. And our practitioner of the day is none other than Chris Glick. Yes, Chris Glick. Yes, indeed, Chris. And Chris has a most auspicious jacket on, and he was telling me that Mikhail let us know that this is the Chinese Lunar New Year, and that yesterday was a most auspicious occasion. And so we're vibrating in the energy of that as well. Yeah, Year of the Tiger. Wow, I like that. I like that, indeed. So let's resonate a little bit with this Season for Nonviolence principle of the day. And you will be pleasantly surprised, as I was. I was about to say surpleased. That's a contraction of surprise and please. But the theme for today, February 8th, and February 6th, and the 8th day is healing. Healing. Wow. Who knew? The quotation by Mother Maya Angelou. She says, "I could be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And the affirmation, within every experience, there exists a gem, a lesson, a kernel of truth, a new perspective, an unforeseen alliance. Today I am willing to be healed by even the most unlikely circumstances. I love that. And the practice for all of us is to reflect on an incident in your life to find the gift that it has brought you. Write down 2 ways that you can use this memory to become more creative and peaceful in this world. Consciously share this gift with others. Yes. What an invitation. And I will be doing that in the Power Talk today. Our theme for this month is still unconditional love as is. Yes. And today's wisdom talk, delivered by our senior minister, Reverend Scott Olson, is loving what is. Loving what is. I love that. And so, with that, why don't we get God's party started? We've got a beautiful video meditation put together so lovingly by Gabriel. Let's tune in and align ourselves with this beautiful visual meditation.
Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls have flown, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Oh, I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
Oh, thank you, Gabriel, for the video. And welcome, everyone. My name is Reverend Scott Olson. I'm the senior minister here, and it's truly, truly my pleasure to be here with you today. I want to go ahead and start us off with asking Chris to come up. He's going to do our reading and invocation.
Thank you, Reverend Scott. Good morning, Ahiah. I'm so grateful to be here today with you. You're my destination today, and I know that you are online. Maybe some of you are driving. Whatever you're doing, I would like to read something from Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, wrote, as we know, multitudes of words. And today, in this day, amidst the Lunar New Year and other measurement of time, going back to days when we were there, we didn't know it. We rose in our lives to be here today. And I would like to read from Ernest Holmes' book, How to Change Your Life. And the piece I want to read was jumped out at me today and told me to get this book out of my bookshelf. And I opened to this, and I'd like to read this to you. An atmosphere of emotional health. We know now there is such a close relationship between the body and the emotions that we seek to build bodily health through emotional healing. Time ought to be given daily to such building. It is especially wise to keep faithfully in mind such expressions as these. I am filled with the life and love of God. I feel strong and vibrant. God life surges through my entire body. I function normally, wholesomely, and effectively. The power and perfection of God flow through me constantly and keep me in superb health. I rejoice in emotional wholeness. When such statements are contemplated with real happiness, they carry a thrill of joy to every part of the body. They create and maintain an atmosphere of health, which becomes a part of new cells that are created. The good feeling which attends such statements becomes an attitude in the body, and if persisted in, becomes a habit, carrying with it the power to continually reproduce itself. This is very important because we all sometimes find ourselves below par physically and need something to bring us back to normality. One of the best things you can do is to practice using such assertions, and also to practice having a healthy body, expanded chest, erect posture, and free and easy carriage, all of which indicate good physical condition. Merely repeating one of those statements will at once tend to produce the associated physical condition. These Automatic reflexes are wholesome. They cost you nothing in cash. They occupy only a minimum amount of time. They're pleasant to do, and they bring excellent results. I'm going to read those again. And so you know, this is on page 93 of How to Change Your Life. These are expressions that Ernest Holmes says it is especially wise to keep faithfully in mind. I am filled with the life and love of God. I feel strong and vibrant. God life surges through my entire body. Actually, let's all say it together. So, first I'll say it. I am filled with the life and love of God. I am filled with the life and love of God. I feel strong and vibrant. I feel strong and vibrant. God life surges through my entire body. Life surges through my entire body. I function normally, wholesomely, and effectively. Normally, wholesomely, and effectively. The power and protection and perfection of God flow through me constantly and keep me in superb health. Amen. Okay. Woo. So in this light, we are all smiling and vibrantly expressing our lives. And that's really all we have to do. And I'm going to do a prayer now to bring us all in that place where we're already there, but let's just talk about it. So, God is, I am. In all, there is nothing but this presence, this knowing. I know this for myself. I claim this for each under my breath, knowing that it goes further and further because each person who hears me is heard by eventually everybody. It just goes out there. So I give thanks for this, knowing that this word is going out to be connecting you with me and with God. And I just give thanks again for this knowing that all that is all there is. And in this perfection of knowing that we are part of this, which makes us smile, laugh, receive, give joyously, I just know this is heard by God, heard by everything, everybody. And I, again, give thanks for this. And together, we just say, and so it is. So it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Oh,
Namaste.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. And so now I'd like to ask Tina to come up. She's going to do a song for us. Chris is going to go over and play the piano, too. He's got like triple time duty today.
Hi, everybody. It's always good to be here. Always good to see these familiar faces. It brings joy to be standing here and just feeling that vibration back and forth. I love you all. I love you all. And love you all out there, wherever you are at home. God bless you. We miss you. Take care. So we're going to sing about love. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance, and it's the dream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that life is only for lucky and the strong, just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies that seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes a rose. Well, just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies that tiny seed that with the sun's love in the spring it becomes a rose.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, the band. That sets the tone so well for today's talk. It's because it is all about love, right? And love is so transformational in our lives. And that's why in February, we like to talk about love, right? And our theme, as Reverend Mike has said, is unconditional love as is. And we talk, that tagline, as is important, but we talk about unconditional love all the time, mostly from the standpoint of Spirit as unconditional love. And we talk about it, Spirit as unconditional love is grace, this idea that we don't have to change one little tiny little bit in order for Spirit to know itself as us, as perfect, whole, complete. And so we give such grateful thanks for that knowingness, knowing that we are seen always as perfect, whole, and complete by Spirit. But then, I was talking to Gabriel one day, and we had kind of an epiphany together. And, the definition of an epiphany is here. It's a moment of sudden revelation or insight. And I love the picture that that Harris has picked for us, right? And that moment where you just kind of go, oh yeah. And we have this idea. We were talking about this idea that in a thrift store there is a tag oftentimes that we put on things. And that tag, they'll put it on an item to tell you that it's being sold as is, right? You don't know whether it's going to work or it's not going to work, whether it has blemishes or no blemishes. Nobody knows, really. And so, we have a thing that Gabriel has created here, a heart here in the sanctuary, and maybe Harris has it on the screen now too. But it's a heart that has a safety pin, and on that there's a tag, and what I'd like you to consider is there's an as is on that tag. I had asked Gabriel to leave it blank because through this month we're going to talk about some other things we might put on that tag. But if it was an as is, then what we would be saying is, I give you my heart. But I give it to you as is. And when we do that, what we know is that you're not judging me. And humans have a hard time not judging. We judge others, we judge ourselves. We're going to talk a little more about that during the talk part. But this idea of being able to take things as is, it's a real idea that helps us to get past those judgments. So I'm going to ask Reverend Mike to come on up, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he knows about unconditional love as is.
Thank you, Rev. And thank you, family. Yes, it's no coincidence that the theme today for the season for nonviolence is healing. Because in my experience, unconditional love is healing. To be loved unconditionally, even when one is perhaps unlovable, to me is the ultimate act. And February, I always think of my mom's transition. She made her transition this month 8 years ago. It seems like yesterday. But what's so beautiful about her memory is that she loved me unconditionally. She loved me when I was unlovable, when I couldn't love myself. That to me is the essence. I remember my mom used to say to me, boy, you don't believe that fat meat is greasy. And I have to admit, I was a bit of a skeptic. When she said, boy, that stove is hot, I had to know, how hot is it? So I was a handful, absolutely, but unconditional love pulled me through. And it was only because I was to come face to face with this principle of, it's actually a word, one of the shortest words in the English language, and that word is okay. Okay. It symbolizes acceptance, that it is what it is. That's all it is. You see, this philosophy has taught me that if I have to wait for something external to be changed, for me to be okay, I got a long wait coming. This philosophy has taught me that I can find inner peace by accepting that it is what it is. And just like our challenge that we got today from the Season for Nonviolence reminded us, looking for the gift in it. What is the gift? What is the medicine that I can extract from the poison, the seeming poison of that experience? So I think that word okay, that acceptance, that loving what is an antidote to the thought virus that I was talking about last week. You know how people walking around with the thought virus? I'm upset because of this doggone virus. I'm upset because of the shot. I don't want to get the vaccine for the virus. They couldn't have possibly made that vaccine that quick. It took them 50 years to make the polio vaccine. So there's a lot of stuff going on in people's minds, you know. And I get to say, okay. You know, everybody contends against truth and finds truth that way by contending against it. And I have to allow people the dignity of their process. And then I get peace by just loving what is. Because, you know, there's a lot of beliefs out there. You got folks believe that the world is flat. Okay. Whatever the reason. So it's February 2022. In February, we get to explore Black History Month. The truth is that every month is Black History Month because Black history is American history. And we're looking at our ancestors, our American ancestors. So I decided every Sunday I'm going to do a profile of somebody that you may not have heard of because I certainly had not heard of this individual. So the ancestor I'm calling forward today is a man by the name of Hiram Revels. Ever heard of Hiram? Me either. Never heard of Hiram. He was the first Black senator after the Civil War. And unlike most of the Democrats and the people who were against him, he was for the restoration of citizenship to the Confederacy. Did you know that the Confederates were declared to be non-citizens? That their citizenship had been stripped from them? Did you know that? I didn't either. Yeah, so that's why 100 years later, the Confederacy has still got a resentment. They're still around because they were stripped of their, not only their riches, their resources, you know, American slaves, but they were also stripped of their citizenship. And Hiram and I have a little something in common because he integrated the Senate. He was the first Black senator. When I was 12, I integrated a Catholic elementary school. Yeah. You never knew that about me, did you? I never talked about it. It was one of the central, most painful experiences of my life. And yet, there's a gift in it. The reason that I am a peacemaker today, the reason that I go into prison and do the things that I do is because I understand the suffering of human consciousness, having been in the midst of it. And, you know, Jesus was 12 years old when he went to start teaching the rabbis because he knew something about truth. When we contend against truth, we know something about it from our own life. And what I didn't know then that I know now is that this idea about racism and race, I mean, they're completely made up concepts, right? You know, and I didn't know that then as a 12-year-old. I didn't know that the U.S. government had created institutional racism where they had redlining, and that when somebody of color moved into a white neighborhood, yeah, their property values would go down because of the government's policy, because of consciousness, an idea that has outlived its time. So Hiram lasted for about a year. he finally decided to go back into education. He became the president of the Alcorn Agricultural and Mechanical College down in Claiborne County, Mississippi. And he was very well educated. He taught philosophy, and he decided that he wanted to participate in the enrichment of African Americans and the consciousness in our community. And so that was his lifelong contribution. He also went into the ministry. He was one of the first ministers in the African Methodist Episcopalian movement, and he made his mark as the first U.S. black senator. And today we have a few more. We actually have some women. We actually have a woman vice president, a black woman vice president. There's some talk that we might get a Supreme Court justice. You know, who knows? Consciousness is slow to change. I mean, there's some people that I'm upset because of that, right? But it's like, God bless them. Change is inevitable. It's happening now. And we get to just love it for what it is, as it is. And we get to discard those old beliefs, to discover what we can do, right? And to discover that we can change those old ideas. Remember they used to say you can't fight City Hall? Remember that? We are City Hall. Yeah, yeah. And we don't have to fight, because freedom is a blessing. It is a gift. It is ours by divine inheritance. And all we have to do is stand up inside of ourselves and say, okay, I heard the bell. Here I am, God, use me. Namaste, family.
Oh, thank you, Rev. So yeah, lots of wisdom there. Lots of wisdom. We've heard a lot of good stuff already, you know, about healing and about revealing the truth inside and our connection. And so today's talk is loving what is. And, you know, you could use that talk title for a lot of different things around love. But today in particular, you know, I want to talk about love. You know, we've got Valentine's Day coming up in another week or so. I think it's a week from Monday, right? And, you know, we always want to focus on love and Valentine's Day. But today, I want to focus on self-love. I want to talk about how do we love ourselves. And, you know, we really need to concentrate on this. This is something that is really pertinent to our everyday lives, because the truth is that we're domesticated, really. You know, that's what Don Luis Miguel says in his book, The Four Agreements. He says that, you know, just like the, you know, sheep and the cattle that we've domesticated and our pets that live in our home are domesticated, we have become domesticated ourselves. Now, the difference is it's basically the same process, but there's a basic difference. You know, with a dog, we teach them to be potty trained in our house, right? And how do we do that? Well, we're really happy with them when they go outside. We're not so happy with them when they do it inside. And our parents use a similar technique on us, but the difference is that for us, we do what he calls auto-domestication, which is that we become the trigger for our own domestication. Rather than our parents standing there wagging their finger at us all the time, we have an inner dialogue that wags its finger at us all the time. And so we have these judgments that are constantly, they're kind of chewing at us a little bit. They really are. They keep us from being the person that we would be otherwise. Now, there's a lady named Louise Hay. And, those of you who have been around for a while in this philosophy know who Louise Hay is, because back in the 80s, she was very, very big in the 80s. And I'll talk about her in just a second. But I wanted to give you a reminder of something that she used to say. She said, "Remember, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Well, you know, I wasn't around in this philosophy in the 80s when she was big. I had definitely heard her name. I even saw her speak once in the early 2000s. And Louise Hay, she was phenomenal, really. You know, she David Alt, who was one of her singers. You know, if you ever saw Louise Hay's show, it was called The Hayride, by the way, and they went all over the nation. And in The Hayride, she had a trio of singers that David Alt was part of called The Alliance. And they would sing these, you know, metaphysical types of songs, uplifting songs like Tina sang today, right? And it was beautiful. And David Alt, you know, became a science of mind, a religious science minister. He was senior minister out in Atlanta for quite a while. And he's moved on to some other things, but I got to see him at the Big Sky Retreat in Montana last year. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful. He did a couple of segments, and one of them was on Louise Hay and her teachings. And there was a video that, you know, maybe Rev will talk about that and do a community movie night on that video, because it's very uplifting what she did. She went out, you know, she started basically by serving the AIDS community back in the 80s. Thousands and thousands and thousands of gay men were dying in Los Angeles. I remember that time. And the friends. And the friends that I lost. But Louise, I didn't know about her. I wish I had. It took another 20 years for me to find this philosophy and put it into work in my life. But she would basically tell gay men that they shouldn't judge themselves. Right? That self-love was what they really, really needed. And, you know, it's important even today to continue with that message of self-love. And in the gay community, it's still an issue even today. We know that that's true because in today's world, right now, not 40 years ago, but now, in the gay community, they estimate that the alcohol and addiction rate for gay men is 20 to 30% versus 9% for the general population. And, you know, in that 12-step community, they have a saying, because they absolutely know that judgment is what is the fuel for the fire of addiction. And they have a saying that goes like this: everything I have ever let go of has left claw marks. Because, you know, getting rid of those judgments, it can be so difficult. These self-judgments, they've been ingrained into us since we were tiny. You know, and to take those out, sometimes it's hard. And so what we want to do is we want to allow the truth that I spoke about earlier to be true in our lives. We do that by getting rid of these self-judgments, and we can do that by knowing that Spirit, you know, we live in the grace that God is, always. And in that grace, we know that we are whole, perfect, and complete There is no place for self-judgments in whole, perfect, and complete. In fact, Spirit doesn't judge at all. So why would we? Why would we judge ourselves if Spirit does not? Socrates, he was born in 469 BCE. So, thousands of years ago is when he lived in Greece. And he used to say, an unexamined life is not worth living. And in fact, he thought that was so important, he had it etched above the lintel into the area that he taught from in Athens. And it's absolutely true that way of being is the way to do it, to live our lives. It's the way we have awareness. My favorite capital A word, awareness, where we look at our lives to see, what do we believe? What do I really believe about myself? Do I love myself or not? As Reverend Mike has said, February is a month for Black History Month. And so I want to introduce you, if you don't know her, to Lorraine Hansberry. She is the author of the play A Raisin in the Sun. She's a playwright. She's an activist. And she was born back in 1930. So it's been a while. It's been 90 years, more than 90 years since she was born. And so back in that time, segregation was still very, very true in this land. And, when she was 8 years old in 1938, her father was a real estate broker, her mother was a school teacher, and so she lived in a middle-class life. And her father had the audacity to buy a house, like Reverend Mike was talking about, in a white neighborhood. How dare he? And he was met, and his whole family was met with violence. And then, not only violence, they took him to court. And there was a judgment. There was a court order that said they could not live in that house. Now, the great thing about her parents is they took that to court. They appealed that decision. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And in the decision, Hansberry versus Lee, the Supreme Court said that was illegal. That these restricted covenants that they were pursuing under this agreement they had, supposedly, in the neighborhood, not to sell outside of the white race, was illegal. Thank God. I just want to know, sitting here in 2022, I want to go, how did anybody ever think it was legal? How would you ever think in the land of the free and the brave that would be legal? She went on, she grew up, she went to college, she moved to New York. She became a playwright, and in fact, she became the youngest Black woman to get a play on Broadway. The first Black woman, but one of the youngest poets ever to do that. And in fact, she playwrights to do that. She got a New York Critics Circle Award. She was the only Black woman, the only Black person at that time, and the youngest person to have ever gotten it. She was in her late 20s when she did that. Amazing. I didn't have any idea what I was doing in my late 20s. And here she was writing A Raisin in the Sun. I read that book, that play. It was a requirement in an English class when I was in high school. I have to say I didn't get it. And I need to go back and I need to read it again fully. I read passages out of it in preparation for today, and it's a beautiful play. And the title of the play comes from a Langston Hughes poem. He says, "What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?" And that's what this play is about. It's about this idea that, this woman whose husband dies and leaves her $10,000, which back in that day was a lot of money. Leaves her $10,000, and the family is now trying to decide how to spend that money. And she wants to buy a house in a white neighborhood, just like the author did, family did. And the oldest son wants to buy a liquor store, for economic purposes. And the story, there's all these characters in there about their dreams. What are their dreams? And are they going to have to defer their dreams? Now, one other thing about Hansberry is she died at the young age of 35 years old. 35. She died of pancreatic cancer. And I want to link these two people I've talked about, Louise Hay and Lorraine Hansberry, because Louise Hay, one of the things that she did besides, doing that was she was all about healing. She was all about healing your body yourself. Didn't matter if you were straight, gay, didn't matter, right? She was about healing. In fact, she had healed herself of cervical cancer. And she did that, she says, by confronting the sexual abuse that she had had as a child. She linked those two things in her mind, and by overcoming that, by forgiving that, which, by the way, does not forgive the perpetrator. Right? Forgiveness is not a process about anybody else but ourselves. And so by forgiving that action within her, she cured herself. Now, in Louise Hay's vocabulary, I don't know Lorraine Hansberry. She died long before, I would have ever had a chance to meet her, so I don't know that much. But one thing that I do know is that Lorraine later on, much after she passed away, her diaries were published. And in her diaries, it became very, very clear that she was a lesbian and that she had never come out in the world as a lesbian. And what Louise Hay says about pancreatic cancer is it indicates an inability to absorb sugar or sweetness. This may point to an inability to open up and receive love, or an inability to see the sweetness of life. I don't know. Right? I'm not gonna say that these things are causative. I just find it interesting. I find it interesting that when we are not open in our lives, it's because we've judged ourselves. And we've judged the people around us, what they will end up saying. And we feel not safe, and anybody out there listening to this, I know for a fact that some gay children's life, it's not safe to come out. And so you have to listen to your heart on that one. But when we get past the judgments, when we get to the place that I can love myself, it's so, so important. So I want to read you a poem. In fact, in your program, there's an insert. You can go along with me. And online, Harris will be showing you these screens too. It's a poem by Ernest Holmes, and it's a poem called She Let Go. And it goes like this. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry. She just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it was just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. We can just let go. In that same way, we just let go of everything, all the judgments, all the passions that are actually not useful in our lives. All the things that we decided were true of the universe about ourselves that don't serve us anymore, we can just let them go. And I promise this. When we allow Spirit to help us in that process, we get rid of those claw marks, right? We don't have to have them. It's not like it's inborn into us that things that we let go have to claw us on the way out. They can truly just be let go. We can be free of them. And thank you to Ernest Holmes, our founder, for pointing the way a little bit. She just let go. So today we have an affirmation. If you just say it along with me, it's here on your screen and on your screens at home. I let go and let God. Let's say that again. I let go and let God. So as you go out into your week, what I'd like you to do this week is I'd like you to examine your life a little bit and look, where is it that you've been auto-domesticating yourself, right? Where is it that you've been holding judgments because someone told you that you would be good if you did this or bad if you did that? And I'd love for you to just let go. Let go of any of the judgments, anything that keeps you from that self-love that is so important. It is important for your mental health. It's important for your physical health. It is important for our society because out of the love that we have for ourselves, we give love out into the world more freely, more easily, and that's what this world needs, is more love always. And if you're not quite sure exactly how to do that, as always, just let Spirit guide you. Thank you. Namaste. Ah. So let's take that to heart. Let's just ground that, affirm it, attach it into our beingness with a little bit of prayer. And so as I drop down inside of myself to that place that knows this heart that is spirit, this global heart that lives within us, this heart that expands every time we love ourselves a little bit more. This heart that we call spirit, this heart that we call God, this heart that knows us always as whole, perfect, and complete. As I drop down inside of myself to that place of knowingness, I just know and recognize the truth of me, the truth of life, the truth of love, the truth of the power of forgiveness, the truth of this world moving through us, needing every little drop of love that it can get. And it's from that place of knowing the eternal truth of spirit and us as all that spirit is that I speak my word as the truth of each and every one of us here today. This life, this power, this presence that is God, that is all love, always love, all unconditional love, that accepts us completely as is, no strings attached, no judgments in place. No goods, no bad boys, bad girls. Nothing along those lines lives within this spirit that God is. And as I recognize that the truth of me and it's the truth of you, what I know is this world expands, that the love that God is created anew. It flows into us and through us and as us. It refreshes us. It heals our minds, and it heals our body, and it heals the world around us. And so for knowing that to be the truth of all life, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say life and God are good and very good. And together we say, so it is. Amen and amen. And so now is the time for our conscious contributions. And so if you're here in the audience here today, we have offering envelopes in the pews that you can put your offering in. And if you're at home, many of you I know have already auto-tithed to us, and I want to say thank you for that. And if you have not yet, then there are 3 ways to give to Ahiah. One is to do it online at ahiah.com/donate. There's several ways to do it from the website there. Or you can text to give at 616, not 626, 616-229-2225. And then last of all, you can always mail us a check. I love getting the checks. I love to get the love notes that come with the checks, especially, to be honest. And you can do that by sending it to our mailing address shown here on the screen. And so however you do that, what I'd like you to know is that everything that comes here, it comes to support this thing called the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living and all the work that we do, both here on Sunday and throughout the week, with our partners like Friends Indeed, and all the activities that we do out in the world. And so however you're giving, if you would take that either in hand or virtually and hold it to your heart. I have the blessing here on the screen, and it's on your screen at home. If you would say it along with me. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving, as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now I'd like to ask Tina, come on up. She's going to give us another song.
Woohoo! Thank you for such a wonderful message. And I learned so much today that I didn't know. So much. The first play I was ever in was A Raisin in the Sun.
Oh.
Yeah, so I thought I knew everything there was to know about Lorraine Hansberry. Thanks to Scott. That was amazing. So thank you. God, that was wonderful. We really should give you a hand for all that you provide us. Okay, so let's sing something that you know. I just want you to know that this could also be considered to be about loving yourself as well. All right, guys. Yeah, you all know this. If you disrespect anybody that you run into, how in the world do you think anybody's gonna respect you? If you don't give a heck about the man with the Bible in his hand, but just get out the way and let the gentleman do his thing. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. If you're walking around thinking that the world owes you something 'cause you're here, you're going out the world backwards like you did when you first come in. Yeah, keep talking about the president won't stop the air pollution. Put your hand on your mouth when you cough, it'll help the solution. One more. Oh, you cuss around women and you don't even know their name. And then you're dumb enough to think that'll make you a big old man. Gotta respect yourself, yourself. Ain't nobody gonna give a good hoot. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, there ain't nobody gonna give a good hoot. Hey, 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 hey. Come on, y'all.
Respect yourself.
Come on, everybody. We're gonna respect ourselves. Respect yourself. 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 Hey, hey, hey. Respect yourself.
I think I was singing along with you. I didn't know my mic was on. By the way, what is a good Kahoot anyway? Oh, I love that song. So, I want to remind you that we have practitioners here. We have 9 practitioners plus Reverend Mike and myself as the ministers here at Ahiah who wish to pray with you. And you can get a hold of them by going to ahiah.com/meet our practitioners. There's contact information there, either email or phone calls that you can give them. And they love to talk with you. If you want to just put in a prayer request, there are prayer requests here in the pews. You can put it in the box right back there in the foyer, or you can go and do it online. We all love doing things online anymore, so we've got plenty of stuff, plenty of ways to do things online here for all of our folks online. You can go to ahiah.com/prayers and fill that in, and only the ministers and the practitioners see what you put there. And then we also have Dial a Prayer, which is a great little wake me up throughout the week that you can go to. And then today, as soon as we're done here today and have a quick break so that we can switch the video and everything and allow people to go to the restroom if they need to, we're going to be doing a community meeting, and we're going to be talking. Gloria's got some information about our financial health, which is doing well. So we want to hear about that. We've got information about our youth program and what's going on with that. We got all sorts of things, and we've got a Q&A period where you get to talk to me and Gloria, and Jackie is on the board here today, and then hopefully on Zoom we'll have our other board members. So that's today, and then I'd love for you to put on the calendar the annual meeting. Today is a non-voting meeting, right? There's no voting going on. This is just informational. In March, there's a voting meeting. So all the members get together, they vote. Everybody is welcome at that meeting, whether you are a member or not, but only the members get to vote. So please, put that on the calendar. It's the 27th of March, and it'll be after service. And then this thing called You, we were planning on starting a class today, actually, but Patricia has decided to postpone it until April. So look back around the April time frame. I think it'll be the first Sunday in April, but I'm not quite sure on that yet. And then at the annual meeting, we will be voting in a replacement for Gloria. Gloria's term as on the board is finishing up. And so we have a nominating committee right now that is Marcia Bradshaw, who's here, Annette Spence, who's online, Linda Marquez, Gloria Roberts, and myself are all members of that nominating committee. We're looking through applications. If you would like to apply to be on the board or just want to figure out what does it mean to be on the board, first of all, you have to be a member for at least 1 year to be on the board, and there's some other things that we would want you to know about and before you apply. So just come and talk to Marcia or myself or any of the board members, and we would love to chat with you. And then we have a youth program that's going good, and let us give this.
Thank you. Oh, I like our intro song.
Gloria, is the wireless on? Yes, it is. Okay. No.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Okay. We had a great youth church day. We have new friends. We also had 5 kids on Zoom, and that was awesome. And I'll have everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Akani, and I'm 12.
I'm Cecily, and I'm 11. I'm Celine, and I'm 5.
Hello, I'm Malachi. Malachi is our very important helper. Today, since it's the first beginning of February, we decided to celebrate love and kindness, and we talked about how we do that by celebrating all the special people in our life. And we know that there are people out in the world that are maybe feeling a little lonely or have some things going on. So we made cards for them, and those people will be getting special cards in the mail come Valentine's Day.
Yay! So excited. I wish I was one. How do I get on the list? Yeah, that's all right. We love reaching out to our congregation in all the different ways to support people, and this is a great way. Thank you to our youth for doing that. So, yes. So let's do the benediction, and then we'll do the annual or the community meeting after that. So showing up on your screen here and your screen at home is our benediction. Why don't you read along with me? Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it, and I share it, just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. So it's so good having you here today, and so good having you online. We will not be doing fellowship today. Instead, we're going to do the community meeting. So if you are on Facebook or YouTube right now, switch over to Zoom, because that way you can interact with us. You can ask questions and everything. We're going to have a Q&A. And let's see, anything else we need to say? I think not. All right, I love you guys. I will see you at the meeting, and if I don't see you there, I will see you next week. Thank you. Namaste. Yeah. So for those of you who are here right now, just, use the restroom if you need to. We'll be having it here. We'll be showing the slides up here on the screen, so you'll be able to see that. And and when we have the Q&A, we'll pass the microphone around for people. We'll start up in let's say 12:30. We'll start up. Yes, sir.
Ryan, you fucking pretty. Chris, you too, man. Solo, man. Oh man. We did a couple of things where like, we all landed the same spot. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it when that happens. It's like, oh no.
And welcome to our community meeting. We like to have community meetings every once in a while just to give people some information. And the other thing about community meetings is they allow us to connect with our congregation. I like to schedule one a couple months before the annual meeting. That's so that if we have questions that I can't answer today, I can make sure that I'm sure that I'm sure that I answer them at the annual meeting, right? So, so we'll be doing a Q&A session at the end. So today our community meeting is brought to you by me and the Board of Trustees. Goes up for some reason. Oh, I wonder, well, I guess everybody can see it all right. So our agenda for today, we're gonna meet our board, and we're going to talk about 2021 in review. We'll talk about our financials. Gloria has been our treasurer for the last 3 years. She's about ready to go off of our board. So this one and the annual meeting are her last time to talk to you guys about money as the treasurer. But we'll be talking about keeping her on the finance committee, maybe. See if we can do that. Youth and Family Ministry, we have Lisa Ortiz, our Youth and Family Ministry Director, here today. She's going to talk to you, and then we're going to have Q&A. And I thought Myrna was going to be here today, but myself and Gloria can answer questions. Jackie's here also. So first of all, I want to remind you who our Board of Trustees is. We have Myrna Hawthorne. She is the president. The year at the end of that is the year in March where they go off the board. So Myrna has another year, basically. She goes off in 2023. Jackie Owens came on this last time, so she's got all the way out to 2024, and she's our vice president. Deborah Glick is our secretary, and she is on till 2023 next year. Gloria Robertson has been serving as our treasurer, and she completes her 3-year term on 2022. According to our bylaws, by the way, it's required that Board of Trustee members go off the board for at least 1 year. Oh, you know, I left that on from last time. Yeah, sorry about that. Gloria Roberts, so forgive the typo. Lake Payne is our member at large. She's on until 2024. And Reverend Scott Olson, that would be me. I have, according to our bylaws, a permanent seat on the Board of Trustees as the senior minister, until I leave that position anyway. And so then just a few things about 2021. You know, we finished out last year, thank goodness. It was a pretty good year. We actually, as a community, have grown. We're doing better financially overall. We'll let Gloria talk about that. But, you know, this COVID experience has required us to do things a little bit differently than we were doing before. We started out in 2020 with COVID and, you know, learning to go virtual and getting the service online and doing everything. And all of you guys were, you know, a lot of us were Zoom unaware, really, you know, when the COVID hit. And now we've all become Zoom experts, and so that's great. And so we do a lot of things on Zoom. We have the service is on Zoom. It's also on Facebook. It's on YouTube, so you get to choose the platform that you watch it. You don't even have to be there at 11 o'clock on a Sunday, because you can watch it some other time if you want to. We also have been doing classes. We did some last year that were mixed, meaning they were in person and Zoom. That actually was a little bit difficult. So we've decided for right now, we'll either do one or the other. We'll either do all Zoom or all in person. So that's the way classes have been going right now, is all are on Zoom at the moment. We've got 2 classes going, one taught by Kelly Metcalf, one of our practitioners, emeritus. She's teaching the 5 gifts of an abundant life. And I'm teaching Beyond Limits right now, and both of those are Zoom-only classes. Patricia was planning on starting a in-person class this today actually, but she decided to push that until April. And then we have prayer and conversation. If you're not been to prayer and conversation, I highly recommend it. It's at 9 o'clock until 9:30, Monday through Saturday, so every day but Sunday. And it's a way for you to just come in, get a little bit connection with people within our community, get some support. It's always facilitated by one of our practitioners. They pray for you. There's prayer, there's conversation. It's a great time. So if you have not done that, try doing that by going to ahiah.com/virtual, hit the go to Zoom button, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then there is, we're posting regularly on Facebook, and our Facebook numbers continue to grow. Back in October, when I put this up here last time, it was at 708. Now we're at 778 followers on Facebook. So more and more people continue to find us. I put out a weekly newsletter that everybody should be getting. If you don't have it, then you can go to ahiah.com/subscribe and fill in the information, and we'll get you a newsletter. If you're not getting it and you're a regular member, it might be because you don't have the right email, or it could be that the email's going to your spam folder, right? You might want to check there. And if you're having any issues getting it, just call me. I'd love to chat with you about it. I want to make sure it's one of our primary ways of getting information out. When I first started the newsletter a couple of years ago, we had been putting out a newsletter like, every couple of months we'd put out a newsletter. And the open rate, because MailChimp, tells me how many people have opened it, was around 70 or so. Now, the last few months, we've been getting between 100 and 140 people opening the newsletter every week. So that's great. It's great to connect with all of our congregation that way. And then youth, we're going to have Lisa Ortiz talk about the youth program in just a minute, but it's really an important way. She's going to talk about how she's doing it in the land of COVID as well as other things, right? And then our annual meeting, we had one last year in March. We're getting ready for our next one coming up March 27th. If you didn't hear the announcement, please put that on your calendar. We would love to have you there. And in fact, we have to have enough members there in order to do the business of the church. And one of the things we know we'll have is we will be voting in a new member of the Board of Trustees. So we do need to have a quorum. At least 20% of the congregation needs to show up for the annual meeting. And besides, it's great to be there and know what's going on. So now I'd like to ask Gloria to come on up, and she's going to tell us about our financials. Yes, come on up, Gloria.
Okay, I'm going to take my mask off. All right, so let's take a look at how we performed last year, shall we?
Into the microphone.
See, I'm not used to being.
Yeah, I know. She's usually the one who reminds us.
So we are going to look at last year's performance, and we're going to compare it to 2020 and the year prior. And I promise you it's good information, it's good info, it's good for you to hear, even though you see red up on the screen. I think you do. Okay, so let's just, what I did is I took out just a certain sections, key information that I thought you'd be most interested in. And we're going to start by looking at that last column, which is 2021. And it's on the screen now, right? Okay. And if you look at our total giving, the first line, in 2021, our total giving from you all was $126,807. That was up 23% over 2020. In 2020, it was about $102,000. And in 2019, the year before COVID, it was at $86,000. Okay, so all of our members, all of our donators, all of our pledgers, this is your work right here. I call you our superheroes.
Yeah.
Okay. and you keep showing up for us. In 2021, in rentals, we had $21,005. That too was up 33% over 2020. 2020, of course, was the first year of the COVID. And in 2019, we had 27,000. Our goal was to try to hit 30,000 in 2019. We were almost there when COVID hit. So we'll talk a little more about rentals a bit later. Now let's go down. So that's in the giving area. These are our primary revenue generators, our giving and our rental income. Let's look at our expenses, our facility costs. In 2021, our facilities costs were $32,502. Good news, that was down 13% from 2020 when it was $37,431. In 2021, we had less janitorial, and we had less electrical expenses because of our solar panels. In 2019, however, can someone just hit my phone there? I'm so sorry. That ringing is going off. Let me grab that.
Oh, no, it wasn't yours.
Okay. In 2019, our facility cost was down to $29,000. That in 2019, even though the building was open, we still had less janitorial because we had more volunteer service on the janitorial in 2019. So 32,021, you can see that we're really focusing on keeping our facility costs stable. Operating costs. This is this is all of our operating costs. I put total operating cost. In 2021, it was $173,000, $173,138. That was up about 4% from 2020, which was at $166,474. And that's because our insurance went up, and we started our youth church. And because we made more money, we had to have more tithing. So that up 4% is nothing, really.
And you gave myself and Reverend Mike a little bit of a raise too.
That's right.
Yeah.
We gave some raises to all of our admin.
Yeah, and to Harris and to Brenda, who had been here for 5 years without a raise.
Okay, and you'll see in 2019, that's a pretty high number, that 213,000. We had pretty high admin, so we had to restructure our admin services in 2019, and so that helped us by about $40,000 in future years. So it was difficult to go through, but there was a need for it. Now let's look at our non-recurring. In 2021, non-recurring costs are those costs that are not associated with our operations, our Sunday service operations and the weekly operations that we have in the building. We had almost none in 2021. In 2020, we had our solar panels that ran about $26,000. We had some legal costs of $5,000 or $6,000. So our non-recurring was $34,000. In 2019, we did some landscaping and we put up our monitors. So those are the types of things that we consider non-recurring. We don't expect to have to do those things every month, every year. I always like to show what our total expenses are, which are basically our operating plus our non-recurring. And in 2021, it was $174,000 if you add our operating and our non-recurring. In 2020, it was just over $200,000. And in 2019, it was $228,000. So, which of course directly affects our net income. The more expenses. Now, even though in 2021 we had a negative of $15,426 in the red, that's down from $78,000 annual loss. And this is what kind of spiked my interest in helping to get Ahiah to understand finances, and we wanted to make sure that we were stabilizing our costs. That even though we do have this chunk of money, as you all know, our total funds are over $500,000.
Yeah.
over 550,000. We just wanted to make sure that those funds last until we're at break even, which we're projecting in about 3 or 4 years. So our ultimate goal in that net income is to be at break even or ahead of that.
Yeah.
So you can see we have a lot of room because we have those funds, and we'll talk about it at our annual meeting. We'll look at our 5-year plan, and we'll look at our break-even projection. I don't know, maybe we'll have our fundraising committee there. But our goal is to break even and to add to our funds, but it will take some time. And you see, it's not a quick process. So we've gone down from what was actually
It was
far higher.
116,000 in
Was
2018. I just about lost all my hair when I saw that number.
So we're pulling it down. We're controlling our expenses. It's just a long, slow process. But we're all, we can see with my fingers up, happy face.
Yes.
It's all good news. It's we're stabilizing expenses,
Happy
and
face.
we have plans for being at a break even or above situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2021, I want to note that we did receive PPP money of about $9,540. So without that money, our loss would have been $24,960. So we need to keep, I like to keep that in mind, that our expenses still would have been in the negative, even more in the negative without that PPP loan, which was so helpful to Ahiah, and we were able to use it for expenses.
But I do want to iterate that, there were some raises that went along with that. We got our youth program started in October, which we had not been funding at all. So we've made some great strides in making Ahiah sustainable. That's the word that I use to project this vision that's in my head for what do I want for Ahiah. I want Ahiah to be here long after I'm here. This is our 80th year. This year is 80 years of being a Center for Spiritual Living, although it was something else back in the beginning. Pasadena Church of Religious Science for many years. But it's been 80 years since we were chartered, and there's a lot of history that goes with that. We have $500,000 in the bank because of the people that went before us, right? Our ancestors in this center.
That's right.
And so we want to honor that, and we want to keep this place going because, it's not just for us, it's for all the people that are yet to be served. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is strictly an operational, and because investments go up and down, we've excluded that from this analysis. This is just our operational loss. Because with the investments, they're kind of a long-term investment asset. You want to invest them for the long term, and according to what your future needs might be. So we have some that are in short term, ready to use. But most of that money you want to be long-term. So this does not include, and when you look at your loss, you want to not rely on your investments because they go up and down. So our goal for break-even is break even on our operations while we're still growing our investments.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. And so now you know what happens with your money when you donate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to talk about our endowment fund because I want everyone to become comfortable and knowledgeable about our endowment funds. I think we've mentioned it a time or two, but not, but pretty early on. And recently, the board asked me to give them a presentation with our new board members.
Mm-hmm.
And they also wanted to have a Q&A about our endowment. So I thought this is a good time to also share just a couple of the highlights about our endowment fund with you. Now, the endowment fund, which is another big plus for Ahiah that just happened over the past couple of years. The purpose of our endowment fund is to provide the congregants and the members a vehicle to support Ahiah's future. Now, I'm talking about our current operations in those numbers that we just talked about, but our endowment fund is for supporting our future. After we get to that break-even point in a couple years, this is for our future, and it's managed by professional advisors and agents who are paid directly from that fund. In December of 2019, Ahiah's board voted to become part of the endowment, which was through an invite from CSL headquarters. And they are thinking about our future, the headquarters, and the future of all the centers. So they created this endowment fund, and to incentivize us to be part of that on all the centers, they said, we'll match your first contribution to this endowment dollar for dollar, up to a maximum of $25,000. So your board, being the smart board that it is, we decided we wanted to take advantage of all of that $25,000. So in December of 2019, we voted to put $25,000 into that endowment fund. So $25,000, it was matched to $25,000. You see, January of 2020, our $25,000. February, they matched it. It grew to $50,000. The end of 2020, it was at $58,000. And at the end of last year, it was at $66,000. So we've had a 26% growth in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how effective an endowment fund is, and this is why you'll keep hearing about it. All right, it's a great vehicle for any religious organization. So now I gave you that. So right now, from our 25,000, we're at 66,000. To us, it's like free money, right? Okay, so let's take the next. I don't know if it's on a separate slide or the same slide. I want to just give you some highlights and how we can contribute to this fund. It's held by the Science of Mind Foundation. Again, that fee of 1% is paid out of the fund. Now, every year we can receive 50% of any earnings. And in the past 2 years, we've reinvested it. And right now, it's been about $3,000 or $4,000. And it's up for us to decide whether we want to take that money or reinvest it. See how it just kind of flows. We put that money in there, it grows, and then they can give us 5% back every year. Or you can reinvest it. Because we reinvested ours, it's up to $66,000. Okay? We can contribute, Ahiah members can contribute to that fund once every quarter, only in increments of 1,000. So that means that, and we have had a couple $1,000s. The $2,000 have been added by members here. So people who like investing long term for Ahiah. So what we want you all to know is that anybody and everybody can invest $1,000. No, $5, $10, $100. We take that money all together, and then once it reaches $1,000, we send it off to the fund. So we want you to not feel that you have to, only invest in increments of $1,000. We keep it here before we send it to the foundation once it reaches $1,000. We get a report every quarter, and the funds can be used in an emergency if it's approved by headquarters. But there's a catch. You forfeit the 20. If you take money out, you forfeit the full 25,000. Because they're not going to keep going at it little by little, 5,000. They'll just take everything you've put in out.
The matching funds.
The matching funds.
Yeah.
So that's a little incentive to keep. They're smart. They give us an incentive to kind of stick with it long term, because it's not for immediate operational. They want you to be at a break even on your own operationally, but this is for our future, to make it easy in the future. That's it. We do have, we're in the process of putting together a brochure, our endowment brochure, and it's got some pictures of some of you fine folks on it. And I'm actually wanting more picks. If you want to submit to the board, the Rev, myself, even more picks because we want to change it up. I'm going to pass it around. I'm still waiting for a few more authorizations for the pictures. We hope to have all of those in and be able to pass this out to you at our annual meeting.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, Harris, can you see the chat for Zoom and see if there are any questions in there, and just keep an eye on that. And if those of you who are watching on Zoom want to ask a question, just go into your chat. Yeah, or we can bring the mic to you.
There we go. Awesome. So I had a question about the possibility of moving the bookstore, and also wondering if we might give thought to a lending library as a revenue generating activity.
Well, we definitely have books.
We got books. We have books. We have books, and we have more people who want to give books. So I'm thinking, if we had the space, we could create a lending library and maybe monetize that as a fundraising effort.
Oh, okay. Like 50 cents or something to lend a book,
something,
to borrow
or maybe
a book?
annual library card or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
$5 or something.
We have a lot of good books, and to be honest, I haven't been turning them away, but I haven't been actively scouring for them because our ship runneth over right now, with books. But if we were to put space to hold them, real bookshelves or something. That's a great question, Rev, and thank you for asking that. So if I take them one at a time, as far as the bookstore goes and moving the bookstore, we have a rental-ready committee, and we're exploring moving it into that back corner of the fellowship hall, and that would have some benefits to us in that we've always had a difficult time getting people to actually know and go. And right now, Jackie O is there, nodding her head. We've had a hard time people thinking and remembering that, oh yeah, there's a bookstore over there. And so they just kind of walk past it on their way to the parking lot, or they're going out the other doors and they don't even see it. So we're thinking if we put it back there, that we would have more eyeballs on what we're selling. We would like to go away. We're moving away from books because, to be honest, in today's world, people are generally buying books online versus buying them in a bookstore. So we're going away from buying more books except for the books for our classes. And instead, what we would focus on is stuff. We would love to have stuff that is spiritual in nature, T-shirts, Ahiah T-shirts, prayer flags, jewelry, things that you might be interested in buying, giving as gifts, all those types of things. And if we had it in the back corner, people would actually see it. So that's the reason. Once that room opened up, what we want to do is we want to make it, reconfigure it, probably as a bride's room, because right now our only opportunities for a bride's room really are the downstairs, and if you tried taking those stairs with a dress, probably break your neck, with one of the big wedding dresses. So if we were able to convert this into a bride's room, and possibly even have some other function that would be closed away for the brides, that would work too. So maybe we can consider the lending library as something that would go in there. So, Rev, did I answer your questions? Okay. What other questions do we have? Marcia, are you looking to ask a question? No? Okay. All right. I have a microphone, or I can just repeat the question if it's short. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Correct. So we've been primarily working with Friends Indeed, and we like having that relationship because having they do so many things, and having kind of one-stop shop for a lot of the things that we want to do anyway. The backpacks in the fall, the Angel Tree Project, or the giving project that we have for kids and at Christmas, and the ongoing women's resource, women's center that we support, as well as other things that Nancy, just kind of rolls up her sleeve when she sees an opportunity. We've done hygiene kits, we've done all sorts of things, and we primarily focus with them. We were looking. It's been a year, so it wasn't last year. It was at the end of the previous year. We got tuned into another organization we were putting hygiene kits together for, but since that was a connection in with Reverend Karen Frost, and since she's now in Oklahoma, and by the way, let's say thank you for Reverend Karen's participation up until she left for the last year. She left in July, beginning of July, and so she made an impact here while she was here, and so thankful for her being here. But if there are other organizations, I am interested in working with other people. And here's one of the things that we are doing. We are, next week on Saturday, we are doing a workshop. We're giving basically this whole place out for 8 hours for $100, right? So they're getting a really cheap rate that we would do that for over $1,000 for anybody else, if they just came in and asked to rent the place. So we're charging them $100, and they're doing a play workshop, right? And so and before COVID came, we had the Suzuki. It was called STEP. It was the Suzuki School for Violin. We gave them a relatively cheap price compared to what they could get anywhere else in order to support them. So one of the ways that I'm looking to support nonprofits isn't just with the congregation doing things, but we have this lovely facility here, and it costs an arm and a leg to go out and get facilities out there. And so I want to work with them to bring them in. Not only do they bring their energy here into our building, which is it's wonderful. I loved having those kids with the violins here. It's also we're serving the good and the community that way. Yes, Rev.
Thank you for asking that question, Barbara. It's quite appropriate because right now we are in conversation with Hope of the Valley. They are the management of the tiny home village in Arroyo Seco. So we have the largest tiny home village, 116 tiny homes right over in Arroyo Seco, and that was because of a assembly person who has committed to building 25,000 units of tiny homes in LA County. And so I'm in contact with their director of volunteerism, and they inform me that they do need hygiene kits. And we're experienced with hygiene kits. We had a little partnership going where, thanks to Karen Frost and James Hurd and Eden Canyon Foundation, where we put a very successful partnership together. And coincidentally, when we started our effort to do the hygiene kits, within 90 days, I was talking to not Western Justice, but Homeless Services, Union Station, and Friends Indeed. They were inundated with hygiene kits from all these other church communities that were also doing hygiene kits, just coincidentally.
Yeah.
I say when healing happens anywhere, it happens everywhere, And so now we have another opportunity to, bring our hygiene kit project back to life. Also, what they need are volunteers to serve lunch. just like we've done at the Friends Indeed, the women's room. Well, this is something where men and women can participate, and they are open to volunteers coming to serve lunch at the Tiny Home Village. So my hope is that there'll be some cross-pollination. I'd love to see a tiny home project sprout up in Pasadena, in our community, and I think it'd be a great way for us to bring back our hygiene kits. So if you're interested, reach out to me, and we'll put you on the list, and I will be we'll be putting together like a little committee to address it. So thanks for bringing that forward.
There's another opportunity that Chris Glick and Mikhail and I have talked about, which is to build up the men's group and to do mentoring for young men through that. And one of the places that I'm thinking of working with is we have a men's center right across the street there. So I talked to them. I was starting to talk to them and getting things squared away right when COVID hit in 2020. And so I haven't really done anything since then. But now that we're kind of getting on the other side, or even we've learned to deal with it, if nothing else. So we really want to start pushing that agenda forward. I think it'll be a great way for us to support our community. And, the women have been doing that in a different way, right, with Friends Indeed for many years. Men need to get on board, right? What other questions do we have? Harris, do we see anything in the chat? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, well, I apologize, folks. We've just had some technical difficulties today. And probably not, no. It's our, we're a little out of our comfort zone right now. Any other questions then? Yes. Yeah, that's right. There you go. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, then I forgot to ask Reverend Mike. We were having a little confusion at the beginning, so I forgot to ask Reverend Mike to pray us in, but I'll definitely ask him to pray us out. Okay. There you go, sir.
Come together in one accord as we close our eyelids and we turn within to that secret and sacred place of the Most High. And together we just draw in a deep centering and cleansing breath, breathing in the love from that one who goes by many names and who responds to them all. And as we call on that name in our heart of hearts, instantly there is a connection, a conscious contact, a response, a yes. As we realize with our real eyes that we stand on holy ground, that I am what thou art what I am. And it is from this place, in this united state of consciousness, standing on this beloved space of Ahiah, no matter where we are always in the Ahiah consciousness. It is from this place that I just bless our gathering, our community. I bless our lives, our hopes, our dreams, our plans, knowing that I know that we are blessed beyond measure, that abundance and prosperity is touching each of us, raining down in our lives like Niagara Falls. And a portal to love has opened in each one of us, allowing us to receive more love, to be more love, to see more love, to call it forward. For love is the answer. Love is what we've shown up here on the planet for. And so I just bless this community. I bless each one, blessing every circumstance and situation, knowing that God is in the midst. I bless our upcoming gathering, our annual meeting, and I bless all of those who are yet on their way, sending a special blessing of gratitude and grace to our ancestors, to our mothers, and to her mother, and to the mother of our mother's mother, 1,000 generations back. We send it to our fathers and his father, and the father of our father's father, 1,000 generations back. We send it to our descendants, to those who are yet on their way. And we know that God is exceedingly grateful and blessing us in each waking moment as we go forward with gratitude and one accord. And we simply say, and so it is. Amen and amen. Thank you, God.
Thank you, Rev. So that'll draw us to a close. I so appreciate you sticking around, being here today. I appreciate the questions and the presenters. And, you know, this is kind of our preparation for the annual meeting where it really counts. So if you do have questions that you want us to answer at the annual meeting, you know, ask me anytime between now and then. Send me an email, do whatever, and we'll make sure to get an answer for you, okay? All right. Thank you, everyone, and God bless. Yes, sir.